All right, you guys, I want to talk about this data tool that I built using AI. A super simple use case, just a team recording its time into time tracking system online. And standard reporting out of the system wasn't giving us what we wanted. So we export to CSV, have maybe 300-400 lines of data to process. Some very simple BI processing, rendering that in another Excel workbook that we can do different charts and so forth. So we've been doing this manually for a long time because it isn't a straightforward mapping process. There's a lot of rules. If Susan records her time, most of the time goes into bucket A, but there are exceptions to that. If she puts something in the description or in the notes that says I was working on XYZ or something else, then our admin person has been picking that up and then puts that into a different bucket. And it's all those exceptions that have made this a more difficult process to automate. We've streamlined a lot of the exceptions just through process and policy, but there's still a number of exceptions. So I wanted to try to build some automation. I've been getting into this AI space and I thought it'd be possible. So this video is trying to record what did I do and what's the solution and how did it get created. The tools that I used, Excel, obviously one of them. I used Node, JavaScript, and I used TextMate as just a simple text editor. And I just ran this on my terminal locally. And then for the AI, I was using Claude from Anthropic, a ChatGPT competitor. I like Claude for written-based solutioning, and it actually did really great in this context as well. Where did I start? I guess first understanding the requirements. I was living with these files for a period of time to where I understood what the rules were. We had clarified what we were starting with and where we wanted to end. I basically took one of those CSV files, uploaded it to Claude, and then also gave it an example of the output. And then I started with a very simple set of rules. I asked it, are you able to ingest these two documents? And then following these rules, take this information in this record and apply it to this other table following the rule. And it spun for a while. It told me yes, it could do that, and then generated that code for me. I thought, okay, that's pretty interesting. That's pretty cool. So then I took it to the next level and started to capture in a format that it could interpret the long list of rules. And at that point, I had spent several weeks understanding prompt engineering and methods for increasing accuracy more than just conversational. I think my prompt on the first pass was about 1.5 pages of text. I wrote that prompt and uploaded it to Claude. I said, okay, go look at those two files I just gave you, but now follow these instructions as you're mapping the data. And it did. And I just spot checked it. It was actually doing a pretty good job. So that was exciting. At the point, I was very excited. The second time that I ran it, I just tried to use a new input file. Same format. It was just a slightly different file. And it threw an error. So it didn't crash, but it threw an error. So now I was in debug mode. And apologies to all my developer friends, because I know this stuff is super simple, but I had to go back and relearn all this. So I grabbed the error message, opened up a new chat with Claude, asked it if it could help me debug this. And it gave me several possible solutions. Based on that interaction, I was able to debug the file and get it working. It never actually threw another error. It had to do with a variable type that was being set incorrectly. So that was very helpful. And now it was time to start testing. So the system was ingesting the data, and it was outputting in the format that I was requesting, how accurate was it? And so to test that, I literally went line by line through a week's worth of data, again, 300 or 400 entries, doing the job manually and seeing how it compared to what the AI created code was doing. And it was about 80% correct, which again was pretty marvelous. And the issues it was running into, some of it was rules that I had neglected to give it. So I added those rules into the file, and then asked the AI to update the code with these additional rules, which it did. And that would improve the accuracy. I got it up to about 90% accurate, and it kept stumbling over these exceptions. So again, a person put some commentary in the notes, and there are keywords that the AI is supposed to be picking up on to understand this is an exception. Don't put it in bucket A, put it in a different bucket. And it wasn't doing that consistently. So I went back into the prompt and I simply insisted, look, you've got to make sure that you capture all of these exceptions. And I suggested that maybe you need to put in some logic to double check yourself. And it did. It did exactly that. It also started to create a log file so I could see what it was doing. And lo and behold, once I did that and added in this error checking, its accuracy jumped to above 99%. So out of, again, about 350 records, it missed only one time. Every other time it got it exactly right. And the one time it missed turned out to be a use case that I had overlooked. So I just had to add one more rule, and sure enough, it started hitting 100% accuracy exactly the way that I was doing it by hand. So that was amazing, and felt really excited about what this technology could do for us in the company. A few more runs, so different test files, different CSV files. I didn't check every single record entry manually. I used a file compare tool and I was spot checking and not finding any more issues. So it's not to say I might not still find a use case for a rule that I need to add, but I feel confident that we can adjust it and adapt to that. So that was it. At that point, we had a JavaScript code that was running all these rules and saving all the time for our admin person every week. So that concludes the exercise and the solution that got built. I think the next step is to deploy it differently. Right now it's just running locally and it's a little cumbersome. So I need to deploy it to a server so people can just upload a file and get back what they need. So that'll be the next thing that I will be working on. Cool, so hopefully this is useful to someone. I'm just documenting this for myself, my own learning, in the hopes that maybe it'll benefit somebody down the line. Hit me up if you've got any questions. And yeah, thanks again. I hope to see you out there.